So, last session, the party returned to town and made their way back to the on encountered some of the Zentarum guards who wanted him to stay in town as they investigated the collapsing demiplane of Mistra. Kino and the rest of the party retrieved an artifact that impacted the ground in front of them, a large obsidian tower topped with a small, caged demon. Back in their room, we rested, and the next morning, the party encountered the ethereal image of a man named Gale, who gave them a Nethrisi scroll bound in purple string and a magical flute. After carefully following the instructions, split across multiple projections, Kylena cut the string, taking a bit of damage, and found it was a resurrection scroll. The projection also wanted them to use it to resurrect him, but we waited to do that. Grin left with Kino to say goodbye to his parents before we left town, and they wanted him to stay, but Grin dishearteningly declined, deciding to stay with the party. His parents the trouble he thought staying in town would bring. Grin also investigated the house of the priest, which was empty. Only the only thing in it was a lit fireplace. All of the furniture was gone. But before we could investigate any further, a man stepped out of an arcane gate and introduced himself as Gale, the same man now in the flesh as when we saw the projection. He said that he wanted to scroll back and that it had malfunctioned, and that and after some discussion with the party, we decided to give it back to him so he could rejoin his adventuring group in Avernus. The session ended with Kino investigating the Obsidian Tower more, radiating with purple energy, which he had now attuned to, and told the party they should make their way to the town of Lady Dove, where hopefully they could glean more information about the item.
Okay. You cut out a little bit for me, Tyler. Did it cut out for anybody else? Or was it just
At
mine?
the end there,
Yeah.
cut out for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
what was the last thing? Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi is not the best. What was the last thing everyone heard?
I think it just cut out the last like 4 words because I heard it cut out at about
Yep.
this item.
Right.
Oh yeah, it was just they could glean more information about the item that had fallen from the sky.
Yep. Now, so let's go right from there. Let's go, if people are here, we'll go right from him leaving here. So, Henri, one of the things you notice as he leaves is there is, and I guess it's always been there. You're just guessing. It's almost invisible. It's almost not perceivable, but there is a purple, like glittery kind of mist around, and and as you look through, and now that you've noticed it, it's everywhere. It's as far as the eye can see. This is the very first time you've seen it, though. Yep. It's like a haze. You don't know how you didn't see it before, but now that you can see it, you can't not see it. You're not really sure because when Gale left, he did leave through an arcane gate. And the arcane gate was bright to look at, and when he left, it kind of like basically pushed out a bunch of force and magical energy. So it's possible, but you don't know for sure because it's everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, go. No, but do an Arcana check and see. You're gonna have to go through your memory and okay. So you do. You sit there for a couple seconds, and then you remember a long time ago when you were going through some of Artemis's old tome collections, the ones you weren't supposed to look at, the ones that he forbid you to look at that you looked at anyway, um, that was a, a some kind of ritual by the way, the ritual was not in the book. You didn't learn how to do it. You just learned of another patron of Mistra that actually saw this ritual firsthand done by an avatar of Mistra. So and that's by the way, there was no details about how patrons or avatars of Mistral work. It was just a recollection. And this was a book that had a bunch of other journal pages torn into it as if it was created by a bunch of people's journals. Sorry, I cut out. So anyway, what this talked about was it was a ritual that's set off that has the exact same description of what you're looking at. And then when you reached out to the weave and you were like doing little perceptions, you think this is right. I mean, you're not 100% sure you've never seen it yourself, but you think this is one of the same ritual that the Avatar of Mr. put off. What it does is it puts together a bunch of humanoid positive thoughts or positive recollections, or basically the ability to think positive, and it tries to manifest those things into happening. So it's literally a spell that manifests positive humanoid emotion and positive humanoid thought and positive thinking about something that probably is true but you want it to happen, meaning it can't make the impossible happen, but it makes something that you believe to be true or close to true, it has the best chance of happening. Now, the reason why this spell is so powerful is because it covers large areas, like, for instance, the radius of a town. If they think really positive thoughts about something that is already probably true, it will happen. It's more than luck. This is like, for instance, let's say that someone, because you got a 26, I'm going to let you put some things together, especially since you're intelligent. So this is the kind of ritual that someone would actually create if they were not sure of certain outcomes, but they desperately, desperately wanted those certain outcomes to happen anyway. They would also put this ritual together, this very powerful ritual together, if there was a chance of something bad happening in an area that is completely uncontrollable, but if they wanted a bunch of people to get together to go through like and basically make sure that you thought positively that no, this is going to work. Like let's just as a really easy example to explain this ritual, let's say that someone wanted to set a wheel. There's a wheel with 10 numbers on it, and there's only one chance of that wheel getting a 10, but if the wheel hits a 10, the entire town is destroyed. There's nine other numbers that it's a success. If you created this ritual and you got enough people together, that wheel would never hit the 10, even though there's a 10% chance it would always hit the 10. Does that make sense? That's what you learned from your book. Yeah. So it doesn't take a bunch of people, but more people that have the same thought absolutely allow it to work. But this basically allows positive thoughts to affect reality. And by positive, it doesn't necessarily mean positive. It just means you're looking at an outcome that is likely to happen anyway to make sure that there's no chance of failure, kind of thing. The reason why it's so hard is because in order to get 100% chance of these things, you need a lot of people, and so it needs to have a big radius. Which is why this is very, very high level insanity magic that you would need, like for instance, an Avatar of Mystra to pull off. Once you point it out to everyone else that's magically inclined, everyone will notice it. Yeah, so Henri starts to tell you guys do you see this and everything else, and now all of you can see this. Everyone that has any kind of magical inclination, including you now, Grin. So
No, I can see it.
Do,
What do we think about?
do we know where it's coming from? That sounds suspicious. So there's an avatar of Mistra around here? I mean, a second one? And, and we don't think it was Gale?
To
Can
see
it
an
be done
avatar,
long distance? Like when he got back, could he be like, you know what? On my way out, I'm gonna leave a happy cloud
You don't
for
know,
us.
Henry. The answer is you just don't know. Um, you also don't know, or you probably don't believe that Gale cast it. You wonder if you saw it. Now that because you went back and you saw the way that he was talking, and Gale was talking pretty positively throughout the whole time and very certain in his things that he was going through. So you wonder if maybe he didn't see it though.
do we feel happier? Do we feel like more
No,
positive?
it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way at all. Matter of fact, you don't feel any kind of you feel nothing from this spell or ritual. Um, but now that it's been pointed out to you, and for whatever reason, Henri was able to see it after Gale left. Now you can't unsee it. It's very subtle. It's not visible. Like so, for instance, there is no purple haze in front of you, but when you squint your eyes and you start looking and you start focusing on the air, that's when you start seeing it, and then it's like you can't not see it at that point.
Um, Henri, when you say it has the power to manifest happy thoughts, does like what does that mean actually? Like, if we all think about uh, uh, gold raining from the skies, would it like summon a rain of gold? Like, what are we talking about actually? Okay. Okay, so it's affecting the future, or
Wh-
it's
One
affecting cause
one
and
of the
effect.
one of the things that you do surface in your memory by reading through this, since it was only a couple pages, is it does. So the author that saw it speculated that this was also potentially how this ritual would go off when creating a mythalar, and the reason why this would go off in the creation of those is because there is always small chances, if not sometimes large chances, but usually small, that things can go horrifically bad, as you know, Henri, now in the history that you've read about how the Netheries end up falling. Um, if this ritual was up, as an example, for instance, that ritual, if he had had enough people to back him up, would not have had the 30% chance of failure that it had, which is why it failed. It was a random chance because things happened out of his control that escalated to the point where he kept making mistakes, and it was just bad luck essentially, and that's what ended up causing the fall of the entire civilization. If he had just had this up, that wouldn't have happened. So as you can see, this is an incredibly powerful thing. You don't know how it's cast. You don't know what it takes. For all you know, this takes human life. You're not sure, but it's powerful magic. And it's no, no, not at all. Matter of fact, it must. You kind of think that it's been up the whole time, but again, you're not sure.
So I know that you said that if they thought about it really hard, it would never land on a 10. But what if they thought the opposite and they all thought about it landing on 10? Would it prove disaster?
As long as Henri would know that it would land on 10 every time, as long as you had enough people. It's the people, and that's why this radius is so important. If you have a small radius of the spell, it's mostly not great. It's not very powerful. If you had a 10-foot radius of the spell, it's not the greatest thing in the world because you only have one person and they're just bad outcomes. If you have it the size of a town and you pack people into this town, that can be something.
So this could potentially bring about a disaster, and it's not necessarily a positive thing.
Henri would know that's a possibility too. Yeah.
Well, what's something we all really want to happen? All of us. True. Does it only affect things within the aura, or can they hope
Yeah,
for
it only
something?
Henri would know that it only affects. Sorry, so the effect itself does need to be tied also to what's going on in here. So whatever it is, the people that are here, it has to be tied to them. But Henri can explain to you that if, for instance, you wanted, let's say that you wanted Tiamat to come back from Avernus and no longer be chained to the Nine Hells. Certainly, this is not the way to get to that. However, if you packed 1 million people into this town and you all thought of and you took a very dangerous ritual that had a sure chance of failure but could actually break those things, and you put 1 million people into this, it probably would go off. The ritual would succeed. It's that kind of spell. So this is a primer. This is a very, very powerful primer to any kind of ritual or whatever, but it also deals with random chances. So wheels, for instance, can always be affected. Things that have true random chance that are tied to the weave. By the way, that's Henri. You wouldn't know this, but to make this a little easier for the whole group to understand, it just makes sense to explain it to you. The weave itself is the randomness in Faerun. That's where random events come from, the weave. So if this can manipulate that at a very basic level, then yeah, it can help randomness come through. But it cannot, for instance, it's not a giant wish spell. There's nothing in the cosmos that can do that like that. But this is still very, very powerful magic, as you can imagine.
Grin just starts thinking about being able to come home to his village soon,
You're
Like-
here.
like permanently. You can't hear what he's thinking. Shut up, Taylor.
I wish I was in my hometown, he says.
Yeah,
handing
you
his
know what I
phone.
mean.
But Tom, see that's a great example of how this actually works because that's something personal to Tom, and there is a bunch of random
Grin.
chances that affect that. Well, Gren in this case, but that's the thing. Like it can work like that too on a personal level as long as the things are mundane that don't have any ties to magic, as long as it's random chances that bring you back to something. When it comes to magic rituals, though, it works the way that I explained.
So, do you guys think that we should be looking for somebody in this town who may be trying to perform a huge magical spell that they need to succeed?
I mean, if I'm gonna guess, it would be the fucking Zentarum.
I think it would be better for us just to head out of town so we're not caught up in whatever's going on.
Yeah, but whatever's going on, obviously is gonna affect the village.
Do we know it's going to affect the entire village, or are they just trying to find out something about the demiplane? In which
If the
case,
cloud can only affect something that's going to happen in the area of the cloud, and the cloud is covering the whole village, yeah, it seems pretty important.
Yep.
Like like, did I understand all that correctly? It can only affect something that would happen in the area of the cloud.
Yeah, that is correct.
And the cloud is covering the whole village,
Yep.
at
Well,
least
we
as far
don't.
as we can see.
You don't know exactly. You have no idea. I shouldn't say yet because the answer is that very well may not be the truth. But you'll have to go through and look.
Grin's gonna go out and like, so he can see it, right? Just to clarify, he can see
Yeah,
it.
you can see it now that you're a wild magic barbarian. Yeah.
He's gonna move out to the street where he might get a better view of, like, further, just to
Yep.
see if how far out he can see it being.
But Grant, it's going to take you several hours, but you can survey. What you'll have to do first is survey the entire outskirts of the town.
Okay,
And then
I'm
if
not.
it's beyond that, then you'll have to keep going.
I'm not gonna do that. I just want to go out to the street just to look up and down the street to see if I can see it.
Oh,
Just
yeah, you
if I
can.
can just see, if I can get a feel for how much it's covering. Like if I
Yeah,
can see it all the way down the street. Yeah.
You can, and it doesn't look like it's ending.
Would it go through Private Sanctum?
You'll have to find out.
No, but we're in Private Sanctum, and I think it's still up. I'm
Yeah, it
pretty
should
sure
be up. It's
still
like an 8-hour thing, is it not? And
It's
it's only been
24
like an
hours.
hour. Yeah, it's only been like an hour because you cast it right before I went to sleep.
Oh, that's a good point. So
Grin was outside.
I was going to say, this is for the people that are outside. I thought that was Grin and Henri. I don't think Kino is here yet.
I am
thought
in the
Grin,
room.
Henri, it was to the people who were talking to Gale. And they were all
Oh, I'm
outside.
outside
They
then.
obviously weren't within Private Sanctum. So anyone, this is only affecting people outside for now. Now, if you had not come out of the Private Sanctum, then we have to retcon that you never even heard this conversation. You don't know what's going on.
I mean, I've been asleep, so Fentrix is.
I am. No, I can be outside. That's easy enough.
Okay. Yep.
Has anyone spoken to Orion? Has he gotten back to town? It's been like a couple days.
I mean, I haven't seen him.
Do we want to maybe reach out to him, make sure all's well on the road? Yeah, okay.
Well, go ahead and describe what you're doing so they can see, like they can look at what you're doing as well. How do you think you're ritual casting, Augury? Yep. 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 All right. So you, yeah, so you guys see Henri start placing the bones around in a very specific order. She gets the dice out and starts rolling it just to make sure that. Correct. Oh, I thought it was dice too. It's just bones on yours. Yep. They are. They definitely are. Are yours just bones, or do you have a combination? That's what I'm kind of asking here. Okay. Okay. Um, all right, so that's fine. So you guys see her lay out the bones and see her lay them out in a specific area. So Henri, you do basically do test rolls to make sure that this doesn't appear to be affected by anything before you actually cast the actual spell. It doesn't, from whatever you're looking at. It certainly can't tell if it's being affected or not. So we'll say your ritual goes off. What kind of question did you want to ask it? All right. So you get you get the good and bad response, the wheel and the woe response.
Why don't you ask it what happens if we stay?
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. So so while Henri reconfigures the bones to ask this question, what does everybody want to do until then? It'll just take 10 minutes.
Grin's just gonna, hands in his pockets, watch Henri. He doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
gonna watch the dragon bones.
Is everyone down right now? Is everyone outside?
No, I'm asleep in the private sanctum.
I will
Okay,
be
so
wherever
John's-
Henri
Yep.
is.
Yep. Where is John? Where are you, brother?
I would probably be up in the room.
And what about you, Amber?
I would be outside with them. I'd probably just kind of be surveying the area and making sure that like none of the soldiers were coming around sneaking up on us or anything.
Yeah, and go ahead and do a perception check while you're doing that. And Peter, Whirl, what are you doing?
I would also just be in the room, hanging
Okay.
out.
All right. Yeah, do a perception check for me. You're good at those, right?
Yeah, I think that I have I have advantage on perception or investigation check if I don't move more
Yep.
than half the speed, so I'm not really moving around.
Yep. Yep.
It's a 23.
Yeah. So far, you guys are in the clear. So far. Um. Yeah. So Henri, you go ahead and ask that question, and you get the same response. Good and bad. Well, sorry.
I'm upstairs. I'm in the room.
Whirl. Oh, Whirl. Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's upstairs. Yep. It's the same. It's good and bad. Good and bad things happen when you stay. Yep.
So bad's gonna happen regardless.
Remember, this is personal to your to it's actually personal to Henri. She can ask for the group too, and they can try to go through it, but it generally works on it's much stronger personally to her. But that said, I mean she is part of the group, so and she did ask we.
I mean, the bad happens either way, but also the good happens either way.
Yeah. Right, and just so you guys are aware too, the way that this, if you're thinking through this and going through the different, it doesn't necessarily mean that anything is bad's happening to the town, although it certainly could mean that. It doesn't mean that has to be.
Well, Henri, I know it takes you like a full 10 minutes to align the bones correctly, but could you repeat the question but say what would happen to the town if we left?
Yep. So Henri, since you're the one doing this spell, you would know that it would have to be, would good things happen to the town if I left potentially, right? No, it's good or bad. It's good or bad. It's good or bad. It's not yes or no. So for instance, I thought, let me read it. I thought you could ask this. I was certain you can. Oh, that makes sense. What's the ritual called? Just so I can read it again. Augury. Okay, cool. No, I'm sure you're right then. I'll look it up. Thanks. I've played with this before, but it must have been the other one. So yeah. No, I totally I appreciate you being honest. I'm looking at it right now. Wheel for good results, wheel for bad results, wheel and wheel for both good. Yep, nothing that the spell doesn't take into account any possible things that might change the outcome. If you cast a spell. Oh, it actually So this is what it actually says. It says, by casting generally stakes rolling, we all know that GM chooses the following possibility omens: wheel for good results, woe for bad results, wheel and woe for good and bad results, nothing for results that aren't equally good or bad. The spell doesn't take into account any possible circumstances that might change the outcome, such as the casting of additional spells or the loss or gain of a companion. If you cast the spell 2 or more times before completing your next long rest, there's a kind of 25% chance, which we knew for each casting after the first, that you get a random reading. GM makes this roll. The GM makes this roll in secret after 2. Yeah, that's what I said. If you cast a spell 2 or more times. So no, you can ask it. So you can literally ask it. Um, uh, and you can ask any question for good or bad results. It doesn't actually say you can't ask a yes or no question and trick it per se, but it is just going to say it's just going to be a good results or bad results. Yep. And remember, if nothing happens, Grin, and her spell, nothing especially good or bad happens. If nothing happens, nothing especially good or bad happens.
I
But
mean,
if
I'm
Wheel and
fine
Woe
with
are
that
cast,
outcome too.
yeah, if Wheel and Woe are both cast though, both good and bad results happen. So
Like maintaining the way it is, I'm perfectly happy with that.
yeah, you can do it whatever way you want, and I'll always give you a good result, bad result, or both, or nothing.
How will the townsfolk here fare if we left them right now? Or today, I guess.
Okay, so yep. So you go ahead and cast a spell. Are you guys gonna let those guys sleep through this, or are you guys just letting them have their time? Yep. Okay.
Fentrix did need a long rest.
Yeah, we've only been doing this for 30 minutes, so it's not like we're down here that long.
Yeah. No. Of course. Yep. All right. Um. All right. And just so I'm just so I don't mess this up. Say the question one more time. Yep. And you do get the result back that says that's basically it's a random roll. That means nothing. There's nothing especially good or bad that happens if you leave the town right now.
Grin is comforted by that. Like nothing is better than bad, right, guys? Like
Yeah.
maintain. I mean, maintaining. They're doing well.
Yeah, so it seems that whatever this strange mist is, it's not going to physically harm the village and or kill all the townsfolk.
And just to be clear, it wasn't the random that means the spell failed after the second casting, correct?
Correct. There's no way to know if the spell fails after the second casting. It could have said bad or good or any of them, but
Okay.
nothing is one of the results. So there's 4 results. There's wheel, there's woe, there's wheel and woe, and then there's the nothing result. And the nothing result is when they all get thrown out randomly, and she
Yeah.
can't read anything from them, which means nothing. It's an actual result that she reads.
Okay, how much longer does Fentrix need for a long rest? How long has he been up there?
Realistically, it's probably only been like a total of 2 hours. Because you guys
Yeah,
spent 90% of last session talking to what's his name, and I didn't get to go to bed till towards the
Yeah,
end of the
he's
session.
he's gonna need 6 hours.
Okay.
So you guys are gonna have to do something while Fintrix sleeps.
Or I mean, I
Um,
could just take a short rest for now if we've got shit
No,
to
no,
do.
no. Rest. Is there anything anyone wanted to accomplish in the town, or anything?
Yeah. I'm all rested. I'll just stay in guard and meditate.
Yep.
Okay. Grin's gonna go out looking for the priest again.
Yep.
He's determined to find him,
Yep.
or at
You're
the
gonna
very least, find his grave if he's dead.
You're gonna mess with your item, I assume, Kino?
Gross.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Yep. I'll let brother respond back. John, the reason why he hasn't come yet is because he was waylaid. There are not only a bunch of people on the road, but there are a bunch of violent people on the road, and he's been helping with that. Um, he doesn't know much about the attackers other than they won, and nobody got hurt. But there are a bunch of thieves and other terrible people between the roads here.
Now, did he personally get waylaid, or is he helping other people who got waylaid?
He's helping other people. He could have very well just taken these guys out and come through, but he decided that he was going to help people get to safety.
That does sound like Orion.
So that's why it's taking so long.
Yeah, he'll just respond back with lots of dangerous people on the road, helping who I can, taking a bit longer than expected.
Well, it doesn't sound like he's safe, but he's alive. Sure, but the roads are dangerous. I guess that's true.
As you guys as you guys are talking, that huge column of white energy that's been spurting up from where you guys came from, literally starts to rumble and almost crackle with a bunch of what sounds like at first electrical energy, but it's not like any electrical energy you've heard, because once it starts to consolidate and like basically condense into itself, it looks like it folds. It keeps folding onto itself and becoming more and more solid. This all happens in a matter of seconds, and then as it does that, a huge burst of blinding light. So blinding, in fact, that if you were not on the other side of the house where all of you were, and you were staring directly at it, it would probably be detrimental to you. Basically, just goes through the entire area of the town, and then this whole thing dissipates. It starts to fade until you can't see any kind of column of light anymore. This is the brightest thing that anyone's ever seen, though. Matter of fact, you're all blinded for a round, and then you get your sight back for 6 seconds, and you're behind the house. So you have no idea what would have happened if you were looking directly at it.
Do we see that if we're in the private sanctum?
No, does not go through. Yep.
Do we still see the purple haze after this happens?
Yes, the purple haze is still there.
Does
Yep.
it seem to have been affected any, like stronger or weaker?
No, it doesn't seem to have been affected. It seems like it looks exactly the same at the very least.
Well, Grin doesn't comment on it, and he tries not to stare because saying that he saw something got him in trouble before. But he's going around and trying to find someone to ask about the priest.
Yep. It's Kaylena, right? Sorry, how do you pronounce it's Kaylena?
Hi, Lena.
Kylena. Okay. So Kylena, you can hear, even though the others can't, you hear soft mumblings of people in panic, like way off into the distance, coming from not only on top of the mountain, but around like several things too. Obviously, the whole town saw this, but these panic grunts and voices are more gruff, maybe of soldiers.
What
But
time
the
of day
panic
is
start.
it then?
It was just around like afternoon. Like it was just getting a little late in the afternoon. The sun had not set yet, but it was like, that 4 or 5 o'clock time. And then of course it was like full daylight times 1,000.
All right, Kylena is going to check in with the party that's still at the inn, let them know that she hears the soldiers, moving, and suggest that herself or some others go into town and find Grin before the soldiers do, because he's had trouble with them.
In? Is sending something I can respond to?
Yeah. And show us where you are, Grin. I'm clicking on your miniature, but I know you're like right out here, but where did you want to be?
He would have gone right back to where he remembered the priest's house being and like tried the neighbors first.
Yep. Yeah. So
So
that's
wherever
fine.
it
So
is, I
you
don't remember
were.
where that is.
That's fine. I'll put you at it. You were right here. You were right over here. And you were certainly far enough away with enough building cover to not be blinded. You were blinded for 6 seconds like everyone else, but
So yeah, if that was the priest's house, he would have gone to like that house first to see if
Yep.
they know what happened.
Gotcha.
And on getting a sending, he would just send back be back soon.
Okay. Yeah, so if you
BBS.
and by the way, as you are knocking on the door, that's when everything went off. So you hear some muffled voices back, some no muffled voices back saying, "What was that? What was that? What's going on?" And they're highly panicked. And sounds like it's younger gnomes, like maybe not even adult gnomes, but that's all you hear.
I knock again.
Yeah. Now you hear like rustling of like people inside moving frantically. Um, but it looks like they're trying to figure out what's going on by peeking through windows and stuff, but you can only guess this through hearing through the door.
Hello, I just want to ask you a question about the house across the street.
Eventually, after 5 minutes or so, a voice comes back and it says, "Did you not see what just happened? Go! What's going on out there? By the way, tell me what you see."
I don't I just heard a noise. I didn't really see anything.
He said, "We saw the light from inside the house."
Oh, the house. What house?
So, Gren, you're here.
Oh no, I'm sorry. They meant from inside their house.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, they're inside.
Oh, yeah. I think those soldiers are doing something fucked up over by the mine. It's probably fine though.
And he said, "Well, we're not coming out until we know it's safe."
Okay, well, you can stay in there if you can just tell me like what you know about the priests being gone. He lived
Said, "Oh,
across the street from you.
he does. He does say, no, the priest hasn't been gone for a while, but I'm sure it's fine."
Do you know where he went?
Said, "Doing priest stuff over on the other side of the village."
Where on the overside? Where on the other side of the village?
He said, "I'm not coming out to show you."
I just give me an address. I know the town.
He said, "Just on the other side, close to like the ruins." And Gren, you know what he means. He's talking about the ruins over here, obviously. The ruins of the church, because that was the only old ruins that existed.
The
So,
church that those people are holed up in?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Uh. Okay, I go back to the inn.
Okay. All right. All right. So if you want to go ahead and do like this, so there's enough windows and enough vantage points from this inn, uh, uh, that if you want to, you can go ahead and make a perception check, and try to like figure out really what's going on. Remember your character. You have a bunch of vantage points now from like where the windmill is, and also just in general, like in your room. If you wanted to just look out that one window outside of private sanctum and do that, you got an 18.
Yep, 18.
All right. So you see several different panicked soldiers after a little bit, after like trying to really figure out what's going on, because there's a bunch of confusion. They're all over the mountain. But this is what you're getting. You see several people still blind. Maybe they are permanently blind from this magical like thing. And it's many, many, many soldiers. Your last count, you see 70 to 80 panicked soldiers, but when you looked at the entire area, there were hundreds of people crawling all over this thing on this entire.
So does that imply that like 20 of these soldiers may have gone missing during this thing?
No, so the ones potentially. I mean, you're not sure. Like if they truly are just blind, you think to yourself they could have just fallen and died. They could have also gotten caught in the cliffs, or many other things could have happened to them. But also, there are many, many, many soldiers on this thing. There are hundreds of soldiers that you saw before on this. Doesn't mean that just because you can't see hundreds now that they're all lost. They could just be on the other side. They could be other places. Um, but right now you're seeing the ones that you saw going through that, and it certainly looks like they're blind. They're acting panicked and blind, and they're calling out for help. Several of them can't see, obviously. And if you can imagine the scene of like many, many blind people trying to help other blind people, etc., it's kind of a losing battle there. So, and that's what you're looking at.
So, maybe some good news, guys. All of the soldiers seem to have gone blind. All of the ones that I can see crawling all over the mines that we're trying to investigate them, they're just stumbling about blindly now, screaming for help. Do you really want to help them? Yeah, but the
They,
Zentarum aren't really good people.
they were also poking around. They were also poking around in a collapsing demiplane. Well, we got
No, it
out.
wasn't collapsing when we poked around in it.
Yeah, and we had the sense to get away from it. It's sad, but it's deserved. They had their face in the fire when it collapsed and they got burned.
Look, I just think it'll make it a lot easier for us to get away from here without them seeing us.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think we got scared by the explosion of light outside, the blinding light, and we left.
Chris, this whole time Grin's been walking back to the inn, so
Yeah, you'd be back by now.
Okay.
Be back by now. Yeah. Now, Now, fortunately for you, Grin, what you did notice is that the Zentarum itself had been ushering people into their houses and basically telling them to stay away from everything and to mind their business and to go back in, which looks to have saved some, at least some portion of the town itself because they were in houses. If people were still going on their day-to-day things and they have been walking next to this thing and it exploded in light like that, then you'd have certainly have casualties, and you might still have casualties within town, but far less have now been hit there because the Centarum did kind of force people into their homes and get them away from the mine while they were doing their investigation. So from a from a results based thing, the Centarum actually did kind of save some of your town by doing the responsible thing and making people get away from it.
Great, then I don't have to go over there and kill them while they're blind.
That's just, by the way, it doesn't mean that you would come to that. I'm just giving you the fact. It doesn't necessarily mean that Grin thinks that. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that. The Zentarum, for whatever reason, decided to do whatever they did, but the outcome was actually that they did the right thing in this case, in the sense that something did happen that was awful, and most of the Zentarum were affected, and most of the town were not.
I think nature worked itself out in that way.
Grin's going to take a short rest while we wait for Fendrix. Since it's been, I assume, too long to get another short rest in. Long rest, I mean.
It is, but you can definitely get a short rest in, and then there'll only be like an hour and a half or so. So if people want to take a short rest, we can do that, and then we can. It'll only take a little bit for Fendrix to be back up.
Yes, I think that's wise.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, so you guys get settled in. Is everyone going to go into Private Sanctum?
Yes.
Okay. Well, assuming most people do, you guys go ahead and take your short rest. You like relax, get everything off. In the future too, for you, Kino, I think it affects you the most. But anyone wearing heavy armor, if you want to take a real long rest from here on out, you have to like find a safe
Yeah.
enough place where you can get that armor off. But anyway,
Yeah, that's what I've been doing too. Is
cool.
because I only need 4 hours. I take it all off to meditate.
Perfect. Yeah. Yep.
But right now I'm leaving it on just because I'm not really resting. I'm just playing with the tower.
Yep. Cool.
I'm just trying to see if there's any like spots that I can like interact with it or manipulate it in any sort of way, and if I can kind of see like any little details or like the cage or the creature that's in it. I'm just kind of
Yep.
checking it out.
Okay. All right. So we can go ahead and fast forward to the time when it's going through, and I'll send you your info. You know, uh the so as you guys get up, it's only like an hour or two until Fentrix wakes up. So you guys go through and do like menial tasks, and you patiently wait for him to get up. Fentrix, you do like gradually wake up at around the 8 hour mark.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Let me go and I had to go back to D&D Beyond and hit the long rest button. I forgot to do it.
So periodically throughout the short rest, Kylena would have been checking like the windows out the inn or any of the doors to just kind of check the situation of the town to make sure that they weren't in any danger.
Yeah, and that's great. So what you end up seeing, you don't have to make a roll for this, since you were dutifully doing it and doing it for a while. So what you see is it certainly looks like a large portion of the Zentarum, a large portion of the Zentarum have been affected, and only the mages right now, even if they are blind, are the ones kind of like causing this from getting into total chaos. Because there are a bunch of people screaming and a bunch of people very unhappy about this. But you see a couple hooded figures basically ushering people back, calming people down, bringing them all the way back into the camp. So you see people getting filtered behind this structure here. You assume they're getting filtered back into the camp. And you still see like through that whole time, it takes quite a long time to get everybody off. At this point, almost everyone that you can see is off of the mountain, or that shouldn't not the mountain, but the ruins at this point. But that was a whole endeavor to get blind people down and everything, but they've started to go through that. So now from your vantage point, you don't see any more soldiers, but it does look like they've somewhat got that under control. All right. So what do you guys want to do? No worries. Yeah, no worries. What? Yeah.
It,
For the people that haven't interacted yet, like Brother, um, Peter, like Whirl, Fentrix, what do you guys want to do?
I know I had spoken to Kino before my long rest about. Sorry, I'm trying to shove food in my mouth. About the ambush strike.
Yep.
So I'm gonna kind of approach her and give her a prod if she's still meditating. Kind of poke her.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I know we had started talking before walking back here, and I took my rest because I wasn't feeling great. I know. Did you want to talk about? And I'll kind of motion my hand backwards towards the ambush strike, which would have been kind of like sleeping at the foot of the bed.
I would. Is now a good time?
I mean, yeah, I don't mind. I don't have anything going on. I just wanted to rest. I had a couple questions myself, but they can wait until later. I didn't miss anything important while I was out, did I?
A few things, but I think there are things best left unseen, from what I've heard.
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't think it's anything important, then I'm not going to push on it.
Big flash of light, and then I've just been tinkering with this. She
That's
holds up the tower.
That's the tower that fell out of the sky on our way back, right?
Yes, it was. I'm trying to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, it's just. Hopefully, it's not anything dangerous. I mean, I've seen enough of this stuff when we were in the tomb, and I'm sure you guys saw your own fair share of obnoxious magical things.
But Fentrix,
Yeah.
you can see as Kino is going through and like messing with whatever this artifact is, you see the little it's a very small, what looks like red, kind of humanoid demonic figure on the inside, and it shifts into a purpley color, and then it shifts again into like a bluish color. Um, it looks pretty cool. It doesn't have wings, but it is. You can definitely tell that it's some kind of like demonic little creature, and it's shifting every time that Kino kind of like messes with it, but it doesn't seem like it's being agitated or anything. It's used to this clearly, um, and uh, and it's working on something. You can see this. It's working on something on the inside. It's got this little, and Kino, you've obviously noticed this too. It's got this little like kit that made out of glass. It's like it's got these little instruments that look like they're made out of glass or crystal or something. It's working on the inside of the tower. And sometimes, as it works on the inside of the tower, it brings up these small little like doorways the size of it, and then it closes it again, and then it opens them, and it closes it, and it opens them while you guys are looking at it.
Have you learned anything else about what it is? Have you kind of gone into the nitty gritty of it, or are you still just messing with it? I don't know how long you've been.
I did attune to it. And I mean, I feel pretty good. I feel like pretty intellectually sharp, maybe more so than I have been lately.
Not hard.
Oh, at least that's a positive. I got scolded relatively often by Azrael and Ren whenever I touch things and attune to it, so at least it's a change of pace.
I mean, only having met them a short time, I think that's to have them allied with you would be a red flag.
Well, I think my curious nature put me at odds with them more than anything else.
Yes. Well, hopefully you never have to see them again.
Yeah, well, if I see them again, it'll be too soon.
Same.
There was something I forgot what I wanted to ask. Oh, we had mentioned briefly because I had spoke about it. The you knew what year it was, correct? We started talking about it. You told me to sleep first.
Oh boy, I did. Did you sleep? Have you
Yeah,
slept?
I mean, you saw me. I was knocked out in the bed as soon as I went down.
What year do you think it is?
I don't remember what year. I thought it is.
1454.
Yeah, 1454, right? That's at least when I went into the
Oh,
tomb.
oh shit.
Ventrix, that's your best memory. You're pretty sure 1454 is correct. The actual date, though, is 1447. But Ventrix is not the smartest guy, and it's a long time, and you don't really keep dates anyway in your head. But you do give him that number.
Yeah, we were told
Yes.
to go to this place to get a fancy book, and then we ended up in the tomb. And
So the tomb has this thing where you can go inside, and because it's magical and it's kind of in this place that isn't really there in this plane, that's part of the reason why it's so difficult to get in and out of it. There's a little bit of time dilation. Once you're inside, time on the outside moves quicker than it does on the inside. So the year now is 1492.
I'm just gonna kind of slap you on the back after laughing. That's that. What year is it?
Her face is stone.
Oh, come on, like seriously.
Hey, Henri, what year is it? Hey, brother, you would never tell a lie.
Brother doesn't even break contact with his prayer book at this point. He's just gonna keep going.
Ventrix, I don't know. I'm not joking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I see him like hold up his finger and like start counting on it, and you're gonna hear him like obviously make mistakes in his counting, and then he's just gonna scratch his head, and I'm gonna look at the floor for a minute. So
She's doing a slight grimace watching this. It's painful just starts over halfway through.
so it's what you're telling me is it's bad enough that the people I got sent into the tomb with ended up turning on me. I lost some of my dear friends when we were in there, but you're telling me that everything I basically had and knew when I went in is gonna be gone.
Did you have any family on the outside
Yeah, it was.
that you were close with and were in contact with?
Well, there was my mom and dad, but they were dicks. And then I was basically raised by like three tiefling women. I was really close to them, but not so much my
She,
actual family.
just raises an eyebrow at that.
Well,
Yeah.
they like had like we weren't like super wealthy, but they did a bunch of shady like business things. So like we had some money, so like they didn't really care to like raise me. I was raised by others type thing.
Okay.
No, you never heard of that?
No, oh boy.
But yes, no, I don't really have family that I cared too much for. Not blood relatives anyway. And the
Yes.
only reason that I even left my family to begin with turned out to be a shit show.
Hey, I don't have biological parents that I know of, and I turned out great.
Well, that's all. I appreciate you at least telling me the truth.
Yeah, I figured I'd rip that bandage off.
So
Yeah.
when you guys went into the tomb, and I'll look towards like Henri and brother and everyone else, or at least the people that I know would have gone through the tomb. How much time passed for you? Is it different for everybody then? You said
It was.
like each group, I guess you could say, because I know that like um not Umbra. That's not who I wanted. Co and Erasmus went through it as well. So I'm assuming that we all kind of met some weird time thing.
Well, we interacted with an artifact that rolled it back from 250 years to 8 months. So,
Oh, I guess you lucked out with that.
I don't feel that lucky. But I guess you could say that.
Did I know? And I'll kind of like point towards the mess of like plate that is my armor that's going to be on the floor. That we were planning to leave. Are we still leaving in the next couple of hours or days? Did we settle on all that?
I think the sooner we leave, the better, to be honest.
Does that have to do with the big light and everything else that happened while I was asleep?
We draw a lot of attention wherever we go, so I think it's best if we don't stay in a place with loved ones for that long, especially with the Zentarum around.
Fair enough. Um,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna hand over the necklace I had too when I kind of got shunted in because we established that I'm not going to be the one to wear it, so I want to pass that on to you.
Oh, I think it would be more useful in the hands of someone else. I am
Oh,
actually
it's
full up on attunement.
all right. I'll kind of turn back to everybody else, and I'll look towards brother. Um, I don't know if you would want to attune to this, or if you just want to hold on to it for safekeeping. I know that it's pretty potent. I get not wanting me to have it, so I don't want to just carry useless things on me, or things that are useless to me anyway.
What does it do exactly?
Uh, it basically allows you to plane shift if you're attuned to it, but it could suck people within like a 20-foot radius in with you as well, and it can just like it has a potential to just outright kill you. It could put you into a plane where there's like no air, or like there's a ton of fire. So, like it's useful for getting you out of a pinch, but like it could also be really bad.
Sorry, just checking my own slots a minute.
Hendrix would also tell you that it needs someone more intelligent than him to go through it. Intelligence seems to be an important piece.
Obviously, I was unaware of that.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think you identified it. Oh
No,
no, you
Henri
got
did.
right. That's right. But you would have gotten some of these properties anyway. Yeah, Henri would know this for sure. That's true. Fendrix probably would just know that it just requires someone intelligent, but that's about it.
I guess it would depend how much intelligence it requires.
I was gonna say, regardless, I think if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I think Fentrix knows that you also have the bag, so just to offload it from himself anyway.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, brother would put it in the bag.
Okay.
Other than that, and anybody want any wine? Because I've got a bunch of that.
I'll take some wine.
I'll root through my things, and I'll toss like a full wine skin over to Grin.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
I'll just have a sip. I don't want too much.
That's fine. I've got a second one that I can pass over to Kino. And then
Ooh.
I'll start to explain what I know of the ambush drake and how I use it. as my steed for the spell that I use, just to help move things along.
Kino
I
hands
think.
back the wineskin to you. Thank you. I can't remember the last time I've had a drink.
Oh, I try to carry some on me at all times. At least when I first started my teachings with Soon, I made sure to always indulge in things that brought me some type of joy and pleasure. So I tended to carry a ton of alcohol.
Yeah. Is that so?
Yeah. It was just a weird time. You join
It
a
sounds
church for
like
all the
it.
weird reasons. Oh yeah, you join a church for all the wrong reasons, and then you kind of get sucked into going on an adventure that goes wrong as soon as it starts.
I know nothing like that.
Well, um, oh, a thing to keep in mind, and I'll mention it again. When it comes to the ambush strike, I mean, it's obviously a lot smaller, so chances are, with how heavy you and I are going to be in full plate, riding them's kind of out of the question. But they're not half bad
Yeah.
for travel companions otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like to have one.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach him tricks. He doesn't really do anything yet.
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
it is the next morning. And Kylena, you notice that it's definitely quiet now. Whatever whatever panic that needed to be subdued has been done, and now they must be licking their wounds on the other side. No one's up here. Now would be a great time, obviously, to slip out without anyone seeing, because it looks like they're in full recovery mode. Um, it certainly also looks like the majority of the village is not up and not going out either. Maybe because they're too scared.
Guys, the Zentarum seem to have taken to hiding in their camp to recover. So should we get out of here before their reinforcements show up?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, almost assuredly, right?
All right. If you guys are going to do overworld travel, do you have access to the concept board, Amber? If not, we can give you a link. Um, Here, let's do this. Yep,
I have a really big map of Faerun. Is that what you're
that's it.
talking
No,
about?
that is it. That is it. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So you must have access to it. Um, that's what we use for the overworld travel. So we're on. Grim's got a little thing there, but we're at Grim's homeland right now. Um,
Concept board is a website. It's like a whiteboard that we can all draw on and see at the same time.
yeah, here's
I
the
don't
link.
think I
And
have that.
no, I
It
just
should
have a
be-
picture. It's a PNG.
It should be
Oh, okay.
pinned in one of the chats.
Yeah, it is, and I can give you actually, if you go to their chat, it not only is a pin there, but there's a password there that's actually helpful. But it's in group chat one.
March 14th.
Yep. 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 This will be helpful when you guys are moving. So. So
Alright.
Cormier, yeah. There's a lot of things going on within this area. The road, by the way, if you guys are all looking at the overworld, the road that leads to the main road uh, um, is safe, but then anything Hill's Edge to Cormorp or Darkhold or any of those main roads, that's what Orion was talking about. It's any of the main travel roads. Grin's homeland doesn't have a main road to it. You have to actually use back roads to get to where he's at. So.
Teleport where?
I would like to. We don't have a physical map, do we?
You just have what you have in the books now facilitate this map. So the books show you the entirety of Faerun.
I will point out if someone has their book open. If not, I will point out in my book the area where Lady Dove roughly would be.
Yep.
Which I will point to Lady Dove on the map. And I will say,
Yep.
I think it would be a good idea if we maybe took a pit stop here if we were traveling. It's on the way.
Yeah, no, there is. So, and Kino will point out on the map that there's a road that does go to the main road that's right behind all of those mountain ranges. And this is certainly a back roads that is not tied to the road that Orion would have been trapped on with all of the bandits. So
What
it
it-
seems reasonable to go on that road.
Kino, what is this Lady Dove place for?
So I believe it's tied to the item in some way, this one. And
What makes you believe that?
Yes, every single one of them. Yep.
no,
Grin's
not
just
that
gonna-
one. Specifically the town, the Lady Dove town I want to go to. I don't believe I'm going to the well, but like once I started interfacing with this item, it gave me kind of a vibe to go there and check it out. Maybe we could find more information out about it or what's happening here. I think would be beneficial to us.
Beneficial us or to beneficial to you?
Well, I did explain last session too. Exactly.
Did you just listen to yourself say that?
Grin is staring daggers at Kino.
I mean, we came here for you. Can we go somewhere for me?
That's right. Yep.
If we were going to meet up with Orion, it wouldn't be too far away, is what I'm saying. I think it would help us a lot to get any information, because right now it feels like we're kind of grasping at a lot of straws here. So I'd love to kind of tie some of the points together.
You
Kino,
would also know that this is actually the most straightforward path into the back of Cormyr, meaning if there was anything going on within the King's Forest, in Arabelle, within any of that nation of Cormyr, this is a very, 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 very unknown or little known track. The only reason why you even know about it is because this is the way that you left when you were traveling, because it's the safest. There's no bandits. Not a lot of people know about it. So the other advantage of coming in to this road would be you're coming into the back of Cormyr, and you can certainly explain that to the group.
Yeah, I'll say
Meaning
all
you're
that.
coming into a road that's actually pretty nice if you want to stay away from any trouble on the main road.
Kino, do you know something that you're not telling us?
Uh, Unless I'm missing something, I'm saying everything I know in character. It's
Yep.
the item was purposefully vague, I believe, but no. I'm as far as I know, that's everything that's to be known right now. I'm trying to be completely honest.
He's gonna, as soon as she says, "I'm trying to be completely honest," he's gonna look over at Kylena.
She kind of throws her hands up, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Is she lying?
Give me a second. Somehow my character sheet got closed.
Yep.
That's a 17 to insight.
Nat 20 for a 23.
It certainly looks like she's telling the truth.
It looks like she's telling the truth to me.
Yeah.
Brother?
Guidance on myself.
I was just okay. I didn't mean to start like a chain insight check. I was just asking for brother's opinion on going to Lady Dove.
I'm being honest.
22 plus 1 for a 23.
I have a nat 20, 23.
Nat 20s don't matter for ability checks.
That's true. So, yeah, still tie. So you beat me.
Yep.
Brother, do I have to convince you of how little I know?
Knowing your history with telling the truth. And the new information based on this, would he think that she's lying about this, or is there some ulterior motive?
So Kino, you can say whatever, but I mean, for the most, I think you're actually being completely honest. If
Yeah.
there's anything you're holding back, though, you would have to tell brother.
I am being completely honest unless I actually missed something with the information.
No, yeah, you're being honest. So
Yeah. So I will. If we're all going to do this, I'll be completely transparent. I want to go to this place to find out more information, and I want you all to come with me. I'm not trying to, do any secretive stuff. Whatever I do there, we can do as a party, but we go there as a party.
Brother just squint and stare at her for a really long time, just to grin and say, she seems to be telling the truth.
Okay.
Cool.
all right.
I guess we go. Well, the road to Lady Dove is the road that he would be coming back on.
Do we want to go there on foot?
How else are we going to get there?
Is there anywhere in town that sells horses or a wagon?
To be clear, you don't know where he, honoring you know this since you did the sending. You don't know where he got waylaid to. You'll have to do a sending to find out exactly where he's at.
I mean, if we're going to meet up, I don't know. If we meet up with Orion and we have new horses, we're going to have a surplus of horses.
Well, all we need to do is get one extra horse and one extra wagon and then swap because he has the reinforced one and I don't want to send him back on foot. So what if we meet up with him, swap rides, and he comes back with the wagon we're buying here? Because the one that we bought in the previous town from the farmer that we bought for like 30 gold, That one's reinforced and super nice. So what if we take that one and send him back with the wagon that we're buying here? Because it'll probably be gnome sized.
Yeah, they have big stuff, not just
Yeah,
normal
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, you would have. I mean, I'm not sure what you're taking at this point, but you would if like, what's the plan on taking a cart? By the way.
I just figured it would be faster.
So what you're saying is we get a cheap cart.
Oh, any cart. I don't think. I don't even think like a higher end cart is out of our price range at this point, especially if
You
it-
guys
Well,
can
we have
also
to-
teleport. I mean, like, obviously, I know you guys know this is on the table, but if you don't want to take the days travel, and it will be days, you can try to teleport as well.
But don't we have to know the place we're teleporting to?
You do.
Yeah.
I
you
have
do,
okay.
or there's a mishap.
I have a
But you can
question.
still do it.
I have a question. I think I know the answer is no, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Wouldn't we know the inside of the wagon Orion's in?
Yes.
Can we
Uh-oh.
teleport to the inside of the wagon?
The problem, if you knew the exact location of it, yes, but you can't just because it's a moving object.
All right.
You can try and see what happens. The answer
Yeah.
is you can certainly try and see what happens, but the problem is that you're also assuming it's in the same place. You know, that's the
Right.
problem.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was going to be the answer. I just figured I'd ask.
Meet
It's a
Grin.
grin. It's a grin question. Yeah.
Meet
Yeah.
Grin, the wagon centaur.
My other thing was going to be,
Yeah. You wish.
do you have the gold to pay for like horses and stuff like that too, on top of needing to buy a wagon? Because that's the thing. I can always like unsummon my steed and actually summon a horse to help us out.
I think we'll manage. We have a little bit of scratch.
We have to be very careful about what gold we spend. I've
Yeah,
separated.
Yes.
I've separated my non sus gold from sus gold, so I'll
Well,
pay for the wagon.
And that's what I was about to say. I've been assuming that you've just been grabbing gold from the bag to go through it. From here on out, now that you have the information, you do have to let me know what gold pieces you use. Obviously, yeah.
Right, but like I said,
I know you've separated yours.
I have a bag of Neverwinter gold.
Yep.
Which I'm presuming is safe. I don't actually know it is, but you know.
Cool, let's use that then.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll do that.
I believe Orion's end game was to end up back in Daggerford with Abel.
Yep. That's right. That's why you have to talk to him, Henri, because you don't really know where he's at. He could actually be past. It is possible because remember, he wasn't. The plan wasn't to meet up at Grin's area. He was going back. Doesn't.
That's true.
Yep.
And we did stop at Aris on the way to get brother, so we would know.
Right. That's right. That's correct. And that's a safe place to teleport to. Obviously, you can always mishap, but it's always safer to teleport. Because what I was about to say is that we have to wait and see. Yeah, that's one thing that I was about to tell you. No, that's I mean that's certainly something that could like the mist could certainly affect the teleport. That's what I'll say. So absolutely, it could affect the teleport. So in a positive way. So, but you'll have to use it and see how. That's true, but you'll have to use it and see what happens. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I'll start wishing. And teleportation there sounds good. I just figured it would be easier. But we
Yeah, but
could
teleportation is
definitely see.
exactly the kind of spell that this works really well on that kind of stuff. So, random chance mishaps.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
fine with whatever.
Yep, I trust you guys. Just you to teleport us safely.
If that's what you guys feel is the best course of action, then yeah.
Pretty much. Sounds like a plan.
Right, and what that means is that just believe that it won't. Exactly. Just believe that you will get there safely.
I'm believing. I'm believing of that 100 that we got not too long ago with Abel. That perfect teleportation.
Yep.
For
and then
sure.
you can
Oh,
go ahead and-
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yep, doing that.
Okay. So you guys remember that once you went through it, you didn't stay there long, but Aris is a noble family's hamlet on the road there. It's meant as a place that's basically it's there to protect the road, obviously, and it's right outside. But a noble family lives there and protects it. So it's a nicer little hamlet. It's large enough that you would have no problem like teleporting into the square or teleporting around the area. You get to make that choice, by the way. Where exactly are you teleporting, Henri? You can teleport in the middle of town or else you can teleport in the middle of town or you can teleport outside of town on the road. Yep. Okay. On this, yep, sure. Yeah, over on this side, close to where the mountain and the water would be more than anything. That makes sense. So there's a road in between a mountain and of course a river. And that road is not super well traveled because again, that's another back road. So yeah, that would be safe. Okay, go ahead and roll. Well, go ahead and roll.
Believe harder, Amanda.
Okay, so you do get a chance to re-roll this. Okay, so then you get to add 25 to your 38. So that is a 63. All right, so you guys go through and you use the teleport. What it does is it teleports everyone. So Henri was pointing it to the direction of the stream. I mean of the road. I'm sorry, in the middle. But it does teleport everyone directly into the stream. It's only 7 feet deep, but anyone within heavy armor is going to have a problem. Obviously. So you can try your best to go through, but all of you fall within the water. Brother, you fall there too. Everyone falls within the stream. Um, uh, and at this point, the people that are in trouble are Fentrix.
Not wearing
Are
armor.
okay. So Fentrix, if you're not wearing armor, you're fine. Kino's obviously in trouble. Someone's gonna have to help Kino. And I think that's it, right? No one else is in heavy armor.
Brother is, but he doesn't have to breathe.
Right, yeah, brother, you're just gonna sink. Yeah, brother's gonna sink to the bottom too. But you just have to so basically you're gonna be able to, so this is what ends up happening. Everyone teleports in, you have that nauseating like elevator feeling. You get dis like embogulated too in the sense that you can't actually tell what's up or down. Everyone hits the water. It takes a couple seconds. Brother, you're able if you want to at least get Kino like buoyant enough because you can just stand there
Yeah, brother's
and
just gonna
razor.
literally just
Yeah.
throw her arm around Kino and just sort of walk on on the bottom of the riverbed up to the bank.
Yeah. Perfect. But yeah, it was a mishap, but everyone got through with not too badly. You're now soaking wet, but you're on the road. Now the good news is that it's less than a day's travel now to Lady Dove, and this road is very safe. I'm still gonna roll on random encounter tables. That's how this works, by the way. You guys have been very lucky, but the reality is that every couple squares is a random encounter on these tables. And then of course there's actual encounters and everything else on top of that, depending on where you are. But you're in a day's worth, so
So can I take a minute to get my armor back on and realize now that I never
Yeah,
re-equipped everything?
Yep. Yeah.
Because that could have been a bad. Which I think it takes like what 10 minutes to get played on by yourself.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, the first thing you had to do is you kind of panicked. You had to go find it within the ocean, which you were able to do in like 10 minutes or so, which was unfortunate. Because I don't even know where you would be holding it, to be honest, Fentrix. I guess you were, because if
Yeah,
you're
that's
not wearing your
true.
armor, where do you put it? You know. But it's fine. You let's say that you were holding it and you dropped it, so you had to frantically go through the river, get your armor back, which you did, um, and then start putting it on. But yeah. But yeah, this is a relatively safe. You can already tell this road's deserted. No one even saw you guys. You see no one. You are hundreds of feet away from Aris. You see the hamlets like peeking. You see the hamlet where the larger noble houses of his family are peeking out through the wall that exists there. It's relatively small. It's much smaller than Grin's hometown. Now, this is the first time that you guys have noticed this because it's now coming up on morning. These mountains, when the light hits them on the top, they actually shimmer a really brilliant like orange and yellow. It's pretty beautiful and it looks completely unnatural. Like it's like so these are just normal rock mountains, but for whatever reason, and they're you see on the thing they're called the Sunset Mountains. But these mountains, uh, their light basically shimmers off in an unnatural way that it almost like lights up the tops of the mountains in these brilliant oranges and yellows. So the plan is to just take the day and walk to Lady Dove, correct? All right. So you guys do that. You don't actually get hit with anything. As a matter of fact, as you start to walk through the larger, the road. I don't know if you guys can see my thing in concept art, but the road goes all the way up through one of the larger mountains, and the mountain itself is carved into steps, and then an actual road that goes through it right into Lady Dove. Um, Mostly uneventful. Every now and then, you guys see these large, like furried creatures scurry off as soon as they see you. They're giant sized, meaning they're like 8 foot tall furry creatures, but none of them attack you. And as you finish out there and go through it, and you hit outside of the mountain, and right up to you see like the thing of Lady Dove. Um, you smell in this area. There's like a huge plain that exists right when you get over the mountain, and it has a bunch of purple lavender like flowers in this field, and it just goes like beyond where you can see. It's just all purple in this area. um, and you guys start walking in, and you do hit Lady Dove at around 11 o'clock at night. Um, and I will bring it up. Hold on 1 second. All right.
Oh yeah, a good point to I'm no longer pink, Fentrix, Whirl,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Kylena.
Still purple.
Yeah, it wears off. It does wear off. Yeah.
That's a real shame. It was a good look.
Thank you. I think purple's more my color though.
I'll allow it.
What color is Fentrix again?
I was purple. I'm supposed to be blue. In fact, I'm probably blue now. Again, is it 24 hours it wore off after?
Yeah, it's 24 hours.
Yeah, so I'm probably blue again.
All
So you
right.
see a perfectly normal colored high elf.
Chris, the minute that we would see that field of flowers, Brothers is going to hurriedly grab his herbalism books out of his bag and just say, "Oh, excuse me for a moment," and just run towards that field with his clippers in hand.
Hmm.
I didn't know brother liked flowers so much.
Yeah, go ahead and give me that's great. So go ahead and give me an investigation check, and you'll grab a bunch of stuff. Yep.
Guidance.
Now, brother, as you're in this field and you start to go through and take these things, off into the distance, you are now looking at Lady Dove too, and you notice something strange. Lady Dove and the surrounding area close to the town, but nowhere else, has small bits of snowfall on it. And just snowfall in general is just in that area. It's definitely strange, but you can tell Lady Dove is like this big walled off area, and there's a much larger like, I guess, stone structure with houses on top of it as well. Um, and you can see this off into the distance, and I'm going to put your miniature up so you guys can start going to it and seeing it. But I will summon you. Hold on.
Yeah, I got a 12 for that roll.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a number of different things that you grab. It's not just the whatever that lavender thing is. You grab quite a bit. How long do you want to take? So with a 12, you're finding it difficult to go through and basically get everything you would want to. But if you take the time, you can kind of grab as much as you'd like. You're just going to have everybody be patient. It's going to take an hour or so.
Would everybody be okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
This seems important to him.
Yeah, and if everybody was okay with it, he would
Oh.
take the hour.
Okay.
Kylena
Alright.
would want to spend that hour kind of examining the town, the wall, the fortification, see if she notices anything unusual.
Well, the first thing you notice is that it's got snow in this area. Like, it's snowing and it's snow covered, which is super out of the ordinary. It's also way more fortified than you expected a small little village to be, like, in the middle of nowhere here outwardly. But here, let me get your guys' miniatures on here. I don't know why there's a bug. I lost everyone's reading a miniature, so I need to pull them again. So hold on.
I'm gonna be right
It's
back while
always-
you're doing all that.
Yep. Yeah, it's always frustrating. Here, let's see. All right. Yeah, I lost all of it. Holy crap. Anyway, there's Kino. Oh, this is so bad. Andre, I'm switching yours out for a second. I'll get yours back later, but I'm gonna give you this one for now. All right, your next Grin. This is so weird. I can't believe this bug is so bad. What's your Tailspire name, Grin?
My
Yeah,
my
is it J Truant?
yeah.
J Truant?
Sorry,
Okay, cool.
brain
No
dead
worries.
moment.
No worries.
We're all very tired.
Yep. There we go, brother. I got you.
We had a nice 2-hour drive this morning.
Nice. All right, Peter. Cephas is you, right, Peter? That's you?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
cool. Okay. What did we do with your Helena? Let's see. What did we have for yours? Yeah, I'll get yours in a second. I couldn't find the other one. Do you know what your mini's called, Henri? Yeah, I think you're right. Elf Mage.
Might have been elf, wizard, or spellcasters. Some
Oh yeah,
variation
that
on
is
that.
you. Yep. There you go. All right. This is just a placeholder for you. Oh yeah, we'll put yours here. That'll be yours, Kailani, just a placeholder. So, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fentrix. Yours is easy. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who am I missing?
There's 7 there.
Oh yeah, I think that's everybody. All right, so this is if you guys look at my stream, so this is it is walled off and closed. However, as you guys can see, it's got it's not only heavily fortified and it's got all this snow all over it, but there's a much larger structure that's also built into the whatever these stone like little mountains are, whatever on top of it. But it's snowing unnaturally. It's only snowing in this area.
Is the weather cold? Like, does it feel cold
It
over
is.
here?
It's definitely colder here. It's not freezing, but it's colder.
Did we walk through like a wall of suddenly colder air, or did it gradually get
Yes.
colder?
Nope, you walked through a wall of suddenly colder air around 100 feet away from the town, as if the town itself is enveloped in this.
Grin is gonna like go back to where the wall of cold was and like jump in and out of it, trying to determine like, oh yeah, this is weird.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, there's definitely a drop-off point around 100 feet from this gate and surrounding town where it just happens.
Do we hear anything going on the inside of the city?
There's definitely lively sounds of city going on. Yeah,
Okay, well that's good.
yeah,
It's a good sign.
yeah.
Are there people in the towers by the gate?
Not that you can see currently, but doesn't mean they're not there. It's hard to see up there,
Whoops.
but it is cold. But it is closed. Not very inviting.
I was going to say I'm gonna try and open the door.
Sure.
What were you gonna say, Kino?
I will help you because I
Okay.
was also going to try that.
Okay. It's a very, very heavy door. You're not even sure yet if it's locked or if it's just too heavy to move. But go ahead and try, Grin. Strength. Check.
Just a strict. Can I
Advantage.
get aid from Kino?
Yep.
Or Chris, you can just text me later what I got with that search.
I will. Yep, I will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
14.
I have to go back through and make sure that I'm not messing this up. But yes, I will.
I got a
Alright.
14.
Okay. All right. So Grin, try as you might, this thing is too heavy to move, but it may not be locked. It's possible that you just need help from the other side. You can try knocking or calling out, of course. Those are the sensible options right now besides trying to climb over.
Kind of come up to them.
Yep.
If you guys want, I mean, I'm pretty good about getting people open doors. I got 10. The town I was in 10 towns to open up. Was called pretty generous too by the end of the whole engagement, but it's your call.
Did anyone try knocking?
Yeah, brother, you would have seen that no one did. No one has tried knocking yet. So Henri, you try. The thing is that it's actually so that the knockers themselves, the things that actually are gonna make a dent in this thing, are actually too high for you to actually move to. So you start jumping up, but they're just too much. They're actually right here. So it's
Would I be
barely
able to
high
reach it?
enough. You would be able to,
I
yeah.
was gonna say, how
Yeah,
tall are
Yeah.
they? Because I
Brother
might.
will
it's
reach up and
around the
knock 'em.
9 foot. They're around the 9 foot mark, so it's significant.
I mean,
Yep.
if you're that desperate for it, Henri, I can pick you up and you can do it. Still, I can put you on my shoulders. I mean, there's like
Well,
giant
weird.
folk,
Giants,
right?
that's who.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be the one to knock, I can pick you up and you can knock.
Brother just swings the knockers and looks at Kino.
I'll pick Henri up
Look
anyway, so
at-
she can use the other one.
Is it a good look or a bad look?
I mean, he can't properly purvey emotions, so he just looks at you.
That's true. You are a robot.
Oh,
Can I check the surrounding snow of the gates to see if there's any sign of footprints that aren't ours?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a investigation check. Let's see how well.
That's a 23.
Yeah, there are many footprints going in and out, which tells you that this place definitely does open up. There must be some kind of trade here too, because you see several different wagons that have come through here as well. So on your best guess, it seems like at least 20 people have been by here recently.
Do the footprints I see seem larger than ours, or would they
No, they seem
humanoid-like?
humanoid. They do seem humanoid. Although you do see around the openings of the area very large footprints of the likes you've never seen before, and they go right down to the ground where there's no more snow. So heavy, large footprints. But that's only in the entrance to the doors themselves. They don't extend beyond 5 feet here.
If I look at where
Please point those footprints out to them in case anyone else recognizes them.
Yep,
how do they compare next to, say, brothers?
they're much larger.
Good to know. Ugh, don't say that.
So once you guys go through, once you guys go through and knock on the door, after around 5 minutes or so, uh, you hear a very booming bass voice from the other side that says, "State your business, traveler."
Everyone looks
Shit.
at Kino.
Ah, shit.
Carolina looks at Kino.
Ah, shit. I look behind me.
I'll wave. At them when they turn to me.
Yeah, this is a your thing, Kino.
I'm.
Yeah, Kino.
Is it in common?
Talk, Kino.
It's in common. It's in common.
I'm
Yeah.
going to step forward
Say something to them, Kino.
and say, my name is Kino. I'm here with my adventuring party, and we come here for research.
He says 1 minute, and then you hear very heavy footprints gradually walk away from the door. Now, after 15 minutes, it starts to get a little uncomfortable. 25 minutes and everyone's getting a bit antsy, and then very faintly you hear those same very heavy footprints come back, and the door opens. And as the door opens, this is what you see. You see in front of you, um, an impossibly large. Let me see if they even have. I don't think they have one of these. It's not this, but what it is it's an impossibly large stone giant golem thing. That is hold on, let me fix this for you guys to give you an idea of how big this really is. It's about this big. So so this is what it looks like. A chiseled carved humanoid like giant, almost like Gollum. It's around 20 feet tall, very, very sturdy. It does have runes all over it, and the runes are glowing a very, very faint blue. Uh, and it opens up the door for you, and it says, anyone that's here to do trade, and it points off into the what looks like the center area here, must first go and get registered. Otherwise, enjoy your stay. May it be peaceful. And as it says, may it be peaceful, it takes its arms and it lifts them up as if to show you that it could pummel you, or at least thinks it could pummel you if it wanted, but will not as long as you don't make any trouble. And then it does say enjoy your stay. And it says, please come in so I can shut the door.
Where can I find Yajandral?
And it looks at you, and it actually gets down closer to you. It actually like kneels down, and it says, how do you know that name, traveler?
Well, I read about it.
What business do you have of Ejandril?
I'm not actually sure, but I would like to talk to her.
And then it ushers everyone. It says, please, please come in so I can shut the door.
Brother will walk in through.
Okay. Do you walk in, Kino?
I do.
Okay.
This guy looks like he's made of chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't look anything like this. He doesn't look anything like this at all. He looks like a chiseled, like by the way, it's chiseled to look like he's wearing armor, but it's just stone. But he's 20 feet tall. So he weighs several tons. You're not even sure. Like Gren, when you size him up, you've never seen rock like this either. It's almost metallic in nature. Looks pretty heavy. Um uh anyway, so it says, little adventurer, how do you know the name of my master?
Yeah, Kino, how do you know that name? And how come you didn't mention it before?
She must be a great tinkerer.
And he says, my master is a great wizard, but how do you know her name? And you see his eyes flash as that happens, and then you hear a woman's voice say, exactly, how do you know my name?
What do you know of an obsidian tower?
And she says, obsidian tower.
We have a lot to talk about. Me and my friends
She's-
mean you no harm, but we'd
She
like
says,
your...
show me.
I
And
would
it's
love
clear
to.
that it's clear that she can see through the golem's eyes or whatever it is.
I'm going to pull my backpack off of me, and I'm going to reach into the pouch and slowly pull it out.
Gross.
Okay. Yep. You hear her mutter some kind of incantation as the golem's eyes like flicker out, and the golem comes back, and it says, come here, little one, get on me. I will take everyone to see her.
Like,
It
on you?
brings it. It literally like basically it's on its knees now to get to a point where it can like put you on its shoulders, and it's going to try to carry you. All over its body. So you can start doing Arcana check. The only thing when you do an Arcana check, you kind of have to tinker with them. So while it's kneeling, if you want to try to do that, you certainly can. Okay, but they're all over it. They're all over it. This is some kind of weird magical construct. Yeah,
I'm
it wants you to get on it, Kino. You can do whatever you want, but
yeah, I wide-eyed. I'm gonna kind of gingerly step up onto it.
okay. Yeah, so it does actually stand all the way up 20 feet tall. It puts you squarely on its shoulder. There is a space where you can kind of sit down, almost like it was made for this. And it starts to walk, and it says, "Follow me, little ones."
I'm gonna wave to everyone.
Yep. So it walks you all the way uh, up to this place here, and then as it does that, it says, "No, no." It says, "We have a better way," and it touches what looks like an ordinary like stone, and the whole thing lights up like right in this area, just an ordinary stone. It lights up, all of its runes light up. Everyone is transported and teleported here. Um, all the way up here. So you can bring your miniatures up to the courtyard here. Um, and yeah, if you guys want to go through, it's all the way up here. Yeah, it's kind of a pain, but there you go. Everyone's teleported into the courtyard. And as that happens, there is so this is what you see, Kino. As you're teleported, um, you see a woman with she looks humanoid except for the fact that she has deeply red skin, an accent that you can't like make out like exactly now that you're talking to her in person. um uh and she says, um "Why did you come to see me exactly?" And she looks at you, Kino. "Was it the artifact or something else?" And she's sizing you up. She seems a little centric, but by the way, this woman is let me see if I can pull her up. Hold on one second. I may or may not be able to. Yes, I can't. Wow. That is awesome. I cannot believe that there's art for this second edition character. That is so fucking awesome. All right, hold on one second. I was gonna give you guys something else that I had done like half-assed just in case, but there's official art. So in 5e. So here, let me send it to you. All right. She looks like this. So the only difference between this photo, because this is an earlier picture of her, is her skin has a deep like red tone throughout it. But that's what she looks like. She has a staff. She's also, so Kina, the thing that's interesting to you is this is clearly a wizard, but if you pull her up and like zoom into that photo, she's wearing heavy armor underneath it, which is very strange. She has a book with her as well. Um, and like I said, she has an accent that's you can't like properly place. I'm not really doing it justice. And she looks like she might be like originally maybe from Chult or somewhere else. You're not sure. Also, Kalimshan has people that look very close to this too, so it's possible with that. But her staff looks exactly the way that it does here. She is wearing some leather underneath it, but underneath she's got on plate mail, and then she has what looks like the plate mail itself has been like modified so that it has fur underneath it to keep her warm, potentially. Um, Man, I cannot believe her official art exists in 5e. That's incredible. All right. Anyway,
Well, like I said, my name is Kino. I hail from Cormier. I'm gonna hold up my Cormier signet.
Yep.
Now I've recently come into possession of this artifact. I was wondering if maybe we could talk about it. This is amazing work.
He said, "Well, it's not every day that I see someone with that kind of item, especially one that stinks of dragons."
Oh,
She said, "You're lucky." She said, "Or you're either lucky or unlucky that my friend is not with me." Um, uh, she says, Sandro, have you heard of him? And she smiles.
Have I heard of him?
No, you have not heard of Sandro.
I don't believe I have.
She said, well, welcome to my village. I keep it safe. I have done amazing things for Lady Dove over the years. This is where I'm retiring. She says, but I can make an exception for powerful artifacts like the one that you're holding. How did you come in possession of this?
Would you believe that it fell out of the sky in front of me? And I give her like a coy smile.
She said, no, no, I would not believe that.
I mean, I'm surprised someone as intelligent as you hasn't seen that happen before. It happened twice with us, actually.
She looks at you quizzically, like she's like sizing you up to see if you're lying or not. Um, she says, I've read about that item, specifically within Candlekeep. It's the only reason that I am fascinated and curious enough to have you meet me in person. Otherwise, that could be dangerous. I don't know any of you. And she looks around and she's sizing everyone up, and she says, and you all seem surprisingly capable people. She said, so she said, tell me. She said, I'm originally from Where does everyone hail?
Like I said, I'm from Cormier.
Neverwinter.
Just outside Baldur's Gate.
Shadowfell.
She looks at you and she says, excuse me?
She's
And
good
she
people, though.
She says, you're actually from the shadow. She said most individuals don't even know w- the name Shadowfell, so I believe you. And she walks over to you and she says, "He-" she says, I can't believe it. She said, you Shadar Kai? She's
I'm
talking to you.
surprised you can recognize one of us.
She said, I have never ever seen one of you in person. She said, she looks you over and she says, and you are surprisingly lively. She says, well, this is turning out to be an interesting day. She said, tell you what, she said, I will give you information on your artifact if you can give me information on how you escaped the Shadowfell.
I mean, I could share that. It's not a huge deal.
Well, it's a huge deal to me. Particularly if there's an easy way to get in.
Why
What
exactly
was
do you
your
want
name
to?
again?
She says, ask your friend. And she says, how do you know my name again? She said, my name is Yajandra, but how do you know this? And she says, and your name? And she's looking at you, Kino.
My name is Kino. Actually, the artifact told me.
She said, the artifact told you. She said, you have an unnatural aura of dragons around you. She said, I've hung out with them long enough to smell it, to know. But there's something different about you. And she says, I can't really place my hands on it. And she takes her staff and she like walks around and she says, wait.
I'm waiting.
And she says nothing. And she looks at the whole group and then basically her eyes start to glow and she grows to be 20 feet tall herself. And in a booming voice, she's making an intimidation check on this too, by the way. So hold on one second. Forget that other one. She gets advantage. Hold on. So in this booming voice, she did terrible though. So in this booming voice, as she's like 20 feet tall, her eyes glow. She says, "If you are aligned with evil dragons, know now that I will be your end." None of you are particularly intimidated by this, but uh, it is actually a little scary and frightening that she can do this on a whim and instantly.
It's like, yeah, we've heard this before.
No,
Yes.
please
You're not.
stop.
Yeah, none of you are incredibly intimidated, and she can tell that it's because you guys have seen some shit apparently. And she says, yeah, and she looks to you, Henri, and she says, "If any of your members are from the Cult of the Dragon, tell me now, and I will strike them down."
No members
I'm
of the
not.
Cult of the Dragon here.
She says, "Then why do you have the stink of one?" And she looks to you.
She's been cuddling up to the Dragonborn. Could that be it?
She looks to the Dragonborn and she says, "You know nothing of dragons." And she looks to you, Fentrix, and she says, "Are you going to let that slide?"
That I know nothing of dragons, or that she was cuddling up to me, because she can cuddle up to me all she wants.
Yeah, no, it makes it sound like what she's saying is that would you allow someone to insinuate that hanging out with you would be the same as hanging out with the Cult of the Dragon?
Oh, yeah, see, I missed that somewhere, that explanation. I don't
Yeah,
align
you could
myself.
just respond the way that you think Fentrix would respond. Is just like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you lost me somewhere. You're
Okay.
using words that are a little too big for me to understand.
And she says, so she says, "I can see within it. You have some kind of taint within you, some kind of chromatic taint." And she says, "Why would the artifact seek me out?" And she looks at you, Kino.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is I was wondering if maybe we could have a very civil talk without any threatening moments like you just did. I simply just want to have an audience with you.
And as you say that, the artifact for the very first time starts to react, and it starts to vibrate. It slips out of your hands, Kino, and it goes strictly and like instantly to the ground, and it fastens itself there. It does start to grow to around 6 feet tall, and once it grows, it's just big enough for that little demonic entity that's like inside of it to basically go through and like peek its head right outside of the bars that are keeping it in. As it does that, there's a visage of what looks like a very tall, um, uh, almost devil-like creature, but it has some weird like look differences here. I'll show you what the thing looks like. Hold on one second, so everyone can see it. Hold on. Sorry, I don't know why it didn't come up, but sorry guys, I know why. It's because of my keyboard went out. So give me 1 second, and then I will show you. But it is like it's a surprisingly charismatic looking demonic entity with obsidian skin. Looks like he's around 9 feet tall. Um. Here we go. Cool. Let me get a better picture than this. Hold on. Yep. Okay, this will have to do. Okay. Um, all right. So he is wearing some kind of armor. It's ethereal. It's he's not here. It's some kind of projection. Looks like this. Um, it'll show up in general chat in a minute. So it looks more charismatic than normal for like a demon, but again, he's got black skin. He's got some strange armor on, and he says, and he actually addresses her directly, and he says, he says, don't shoot the messenger. These people know nothing. However, I'm here to offer you a deal. And she looks at him, confused, and he says, How long have you wandered into the Well of Dragons? Well, I have a solution for you. And he says, These people here are divine messengers to a much greater purpose. All you need is 2 items. One exists within the Feywild. The other exists within this very device. Put them together, and this will open the Well of Dragons. Your life's work. And she looks back and she doesn't say a thing at all. She doesn't respond. And then he basically once she doesn't respond, and he says, "You're trying my patience, woman," and he vanishes. And then she looks at everyone in the group and she says, "What did you just bring on me?" And she looks at you, Kino.
Yeah, Kino.
Yeah, Kino.
What is your life's work?
She said, she said, "Well, I guess now's not the time to be coy, is it?" And she looks over at her golem creation as if she's like milling over, maybe like activating it to like fight everyone, and then she thinks better of it, and then she looks at her predicament. You're not exactly sure that's what she was thinking, but it's she actually is like looking over almost like battle plans, and then she sighs and she says, "Well," she says. It's probably best for me to be honest and for you to be honest. And she said, and she looks at you, brother, and she says, I see, I see the holy symbols. She says, you're a priest.
Your assumption is correct.
She said, do you happen to know the spell? And then a scroll comes up in her hand. She looks at it and she says, oh yes. Do you happen to know Zone of Truth?
I do.
Your God can grant you that? She said, I suggest you do it.
And he'll reveal his center and just wave a finger in the air and whisper the incantation, and the circle will go up.
Okay. All right. So she says she chooses to fail her save. Everyone else can roll. You can roll. You guys can roll. But she's gonna fail her save. Yep. Yep. No, by the way, no one can see this, so it's all meta anyway. But Kino, you can roll if you want. It doesn't matter.
Just
But
for the hell of it,
she's
let's see.
yeah. That's right. That's right. That is correct. Brother knows if the spell is not affecting you, meaning that you have shrugged it off. But anyway,
Does anyone else know besides brother?
no, she wouldn't know. Nope. Only brother would know.
18.
Does that beat your spell save DC, brother?
It does.
Okay. So you can say something if you want. This is private between the two of you, but any verbal communication that you make, she's going to hear it, obviously. But
Brother
just-
will just look at
you know,
her.
you have to now make the decision if you fail the save or not.
I just nod towards brother just very slightly.
If you're not going to be truthful, you might want to rethink the next set of words you do in the presence of our current company.
And she looks at you quizzically, Kino.
I align myself with most dragons,
She
good
lies.
and bad.
Well, she says, in good faith, She says before anything, before anyone says anything, and she says, "Priest, am I under the effective zone of truth?"
She has chosen to fail. She is.
And she says, "So, I will go first, and if you lie to me, we will have major problems." She said, "Is that understood, Kino?"
Yes.
Okay. She said, "I was born in Kalamashan in 1367 DR. I have been alive all of this time." She says, "I was a satrap." Does anyone know what that is?
Do I know what that is?
I don't think anyone does, but everyone can make history checks.
I probably would because I'm actually from
Oh yeah, you're
Kalanport.
Kalamashan. Yeah, you would know. No, you don't have to make a history check. A satrap is nobility. She was born into the noble circles, meaning that the genies themselves have blessed that family as a ruling member of Kalamashan.
I
The
would pass
Jinn
that.
are the ultimate rulers, but if you're not Jinn, this is the highest rank you can be. Yeah,
I
you can
would
say
pass
that.
that on to like
Okay.
everybody. I'd kind of be like, this is kind of a big deal.
She said, I left it all behind because I wanted to study nothing but magic. She said, I went on a spells trading trip for 10 years in trying my best to learn spells. And she goes through the spells she learned. Henri, what you realized is it took her 10 years in spell trading in to get to level 3 as a mage. So she doesn't know this, but you think to yourself how lucky you are. It took her 10 years to get to level 3. Anyway, she says she disappeared for some. She said she disappeared herself for some years because she was studying dragons. She is a dragon expert. She went all the way to Candlekeep, she explains to you, to learn everything she could about dragons, and later to Zazaspur. Um, if anyone wants to make history checks on the two of them, they can. I know most of you know what Candlekeep is, but yeah, two separate history checks. Yep, yep. Who got the 22?
22 on.
So 17, you would know that Zazaspur uh basically was this very wealthy city that vanished a while ago. Around 1380 DR, the city just vanished off the face of the earth, or Faerun, I should say. Anyway, she says, she says, so I've spent my life's dedication is learning about dragons. She said some of my good friends themselves are dragons. And she says, if we wait long enough, as a matter of fact, my old friend will be back here soon. Um, uh, so she said, now I have been trying to get into the Well of Dragons for 75 years. Almost 75 years. It's sealed up, completely locked from the outside. Any and all mages who have ever tried to come in have died horrible deaths, some of which have been disintegrated on touch of trying to get through the wards that protect it. It is said to hold the most powerful secrets to dragonkind. So I am clearly interested if this indeed actually is the key within it. She said, but we have a problem. And she says, does anyone know who just spoke to us?
Would
You can make
I
a check. You can make a check. You can make a check on this, yeah.
history check?
Arcana or history?
This would have to be history, and it would have to be because you read about a description of this demon lord, so it's high.
17. Also,
It's okay. Actually, if you know, this is one of the few things that I would support. Like, yeah, but this is actually okay, and this goes for anything. If you guys want to dig into the lore and actually know things as well, if you do know certain things like this, I will actually allow that because I want to support you guys digging into it anyway. How many other people besides Amanda know who that character is? Just
do.
Amanda?
Yeah, I
So
don't.
Peter and Amanda. Okay, so this is fair then, Amanda. You can go and tell them who it is. Henri can say. She said that is correct. And he does not make the nicest of deals. She said, that said, this is too important to pass up. She said, so we are at a quandary. She says, first and foremost, I would like to believe that you are a group that is aligned with the good of all Faerun. She said, but can I trust that? And she walks back and forth with her staff. Can I trust that? Can I trust that? And she points to the priest and she says, I believe you are, but tell me in your own words.
And brother
Are
too.
Yeah,
At-
she's pointing to brother. She
I
points to brother and she says, tell me in your own words, are you that construct? It's
I
clear
am
she's
going
never
to.
seen one of you. Yeah. Brother.
I'm letting the circle take effect on me now.
You're dropping it? Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to not resist now that she's kind of said her piece. I'm going to let it wash over me.
Um in the future, by the way, I think brother has to recast. In this case,
Yeah, I would
allow
have
it.
to recast it.
Yeah. It's
For the
yeah.
entirety of what if I
Yeah.
step out of it and step back into it?
I think that actually might work. I think that actually might work. I'd actually rather you do that. So do you want to do that?
So as she's pacing and steps back and forth, I will just half step out and half step back in as she's facing away, and I will just let it wash over me
Okay. All right, that's fine.
and not resist.
Yeah, she does catch that, by the way, and she gives you a quizzical look as if she kind of knows what's going on, but doesn't say anything. And then she points to you first, brother, and she says, can you tell me with a good, clear conscience that you are not an evil being that has done evil things?"
Yes, I can.
And then she goes to you, Henri, and she says, can you say the same in clear conscience? This is a very interesting. This is a very interesting thing with Indiana Truth because you are not an evil being. Have you done evil things? I guess in Henri's mind she hasn't, and you're not lying, so I'll let it pass. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely true. It's the last part that's semantics anyway. So yeah, I'll buy it. Yep. You are right, by the way. Yep. No, I buy all that. Yep. That makes sense. Okay. Um. And she goes to you, Worrell, and she says, "And you? Are you evil? Have you done murderous things?"
No, that would be ridiculous and terrible.
Yep. She looks at you, Finchix, and she says, "Dragonborn, are you aligned with good?
Oh,
Have you
of
done evil things?"
course I'm aligned with good. I could never do anything bad. It's not in my nature.
And she said, "And evil things? Have you done any evil things?"
No, I have not. I always
Okay.
try to do the right.
Okay. And then she looks over and she says, "What is your name?" And she looks because you notice that she somehow knows that there's an affiliation next to this, and she says, "I didn't see that there was a Harper with you at first." She said, "What is your name?"
My name is Kylena.
He says, "Kylena." She says, "Well, it does make me feel a bit better that there is a Harper with the group." Um, she says, "Your people," and she pulls out what looks like a Harper pen, but there's no actual fastener on it. You've never seen another one like this. She says this is a valuable trinket, and she says this allows me to know when an agent or one of the Harpers is close. She says I can't believe I missed it. She said I was so preoccupied, and then she looks over and she says, "Now, half orc, are you evil? Have you done evil things?"
I'm not evil, and I don't think anything I've done is evil.
She says, "Good." She says, "This is good." She said, "So," she said, "first and foremost, how are any of you aligned with Graza?"
With who?
She said, "The demon lord."
That's the first time I've ever seen that guy in my life.
She says, "But you
Yeah.
have," but she points to Kino and she says, "But," she says, "Then why does this woman have an artifact that allows Grazit to speak through it?"
Maybe he was extending an offer from higher powers to help you.
She said, "Clearly, but you know Grazit can't be trusted." She said, "Yeah, she said, listen," she said, and then she stops herself and she says, "God, Igwilf, this is unbelievable." And then she looks and she says, I can't pass up. I cannot pass this up." And she and then she looks back at you and she says, "Listen, I don't like this, but this cannot be passed up. There are too many important things going on within the Well of Dragons that I believe are locked away, secrets that need to be unharbored. The fate of the entire world could be at play with what's inside the Well of Dragons." And she said, um, I am interested though in a little bit about the group." She said, "If you could just tell me a little bit about your group and who all of you are before I divulge any more information."
Wait, is what you want to do aligned with this demon?
No, she said, "Certainly not. As a matter of fact, nothing I want is aligned with Greza. But getting into the Well of Souls surely is something that I do want to do." She said, and she looks at you and she says, "Halfork, I know this doesn't seem like a big deal to you, but can you imagine you've spent 75 years hoping against hope, building an entire town, settling in an entire region just for the chance to get inside of this, and now it's staring in front of you." She said, "Honestly, if this were anything else, I would refuse this immediately." By the way, the artifact at this point has shrunk now to the ground. You can pick it back up again, Kino.
It's just cold out.
I will pick it back up and I will look at her and I will go, "Look, I saw you could see me step back into the circle, and now that you've told me a little bit about yourself, I want you to understand that I am also in the circle's influence. And understand I am telling the truth when I am not part of the cult of the dragon.
Though she is a paladin of Tiamat.
Yes."
Her eyes raise and she says,
And I will just hold up a hand. I am. But I am also devoting my life to dragonkind. And just understand, from a paladin of Tiamat and a cleric of Bahamut, we both come to you because we have seen. We were gathered in Neverember. We were gathered in Neverwinter and hired by Neverember to go into the Tomb of Horrors. And while in there, we saw a future that came into fruition where dragons worked together, chromatic, metallic, banded together to fight against the ascending God King of Death. We saw that happen. And now I understand how you're not allied with even evil dragons. Just understand that if you're devoting your life to dragons and you're not looking at the entire picture, then you're missing a big part of what's out there. For better or for worse, we both come to you.
She looks at you. She looks at she looks at you, Carolina, and she says, I want you to know that it was the Harpers that even told me about the Well of Dragons. And then she looks back at you, Kino, and she says, "Listen, I'll be very honest with you. You might think you have good intentions. I don't trust you at all, but
That's
I'm in a
smart.
You wouldn't be the first.
Get in line.
yeah." But she says, in this instance, she said, I kind of have little choice. She said it's also a very frustrating thing anyway. She says, first and foremost, there is no way within the Feywild, just like there's no way within the Shadowfell. Unless, and she looks and she says that there's silly ways, but nothing that's good here. That's reliable. She said, so already Grazit has given us an impossible task. She said, but most importantly, and she says also, and then she says, oh, I forgot, God, Sandro's on his way. And she basically puts her, so she puts her hands up. She is running, she is fiddling through like all of her books as they come up into her. There's like 4 or 5 books that go through, and she's like reading through them frantically. Her eyes light up. The golem like reactivates or whatever it is and goes through. The thing that looks like a golem goes through, teleports back down. She says, I'm going to leave him here as long as I can. He did not want to be here when Sandro gets up to see me. And she looks at you, Kino, and she says, Sandro is going to come in looking like a man, but he is a gold dragon, and he'll probably be very, very upset that one of Tiamat's is here.
Yes.
By her own writ, she shouldn't have anything to fear then if she means them no harm. And brother just will
She said,
slowly pan his
yeah,
head over to her.
and she says, to be honest, actually, in this case, it's Sandra I'm more worried about. He's a little uh not very fair when it comes to allegiances, and Tiamat, she looks and she says, to be honest, the dragons can be a little difficult with one another. She said, I have been trying for years to get Sandra to realize that not all dragons of certain colors are inherently evil, but that is not
No, we
something that
know.
he believes. But he says that is not something that he believes, and he is a dragon, so you should also respect that woman. And he looks at Yukino. But she said, I do actually think that all dragons, regardless of the color of their scales, should be taken for their merit and not necessarily for their allegiances or for what color they are. She said, that said, there is a reason, and she looks at you again, why Sandro will want to rip your throat out as soon as he sees you. So
Get in line.
our time is limited here. She said, how are we going to get into the Feywild?
I look back at the person that's holding the ticket.
That's you, Henri? He said the
Carnival's
carnival.
still
She said the Witchlight Carnival. She said, I don't. She said, there's no guarantee. She's like, I don't. She's like, I don't think you just get to the Feywild by going to the carnival. She said, but it's a start. Maybe. She said the carnival is surely run by Fey. She said she's known for years. She's never gone there herself, and she explains why. She says, I personally haven't gone, and the reason why is because even though, assuming these are Seatley Court Fey are a little mischievous. They can't always be trusted. She said, that said, this is a better option than wandering the realm, trying to find a doorway in. She said, that's certainly something.
We also have one more way, and I just kind of motion to a necklace at brother.
Well, that one isn't just
It's
a
in
fade.
the it's in the
Yeah,
you
it's
can
in the
look at
bag.
brother. You can look at brother, but it's in the bag, yeah.
Yeah, I will just do that. Are you? How familiar are you with the Feywild? I'm assuming you've never been.
She said, I've never been to the Feywild. Ever. She said, I've never been to the Shadowfell either, and she looks back at you, and she says, by the way, quickly, explain to the group and myself, if you haven't talked to your friends already, how on earth did you escape the Shadowfell? Poor creature.
Through the carnival.
Her eyes wide up. She said the other one?
When was the last time you spoke with the owners of the Witchlight Carnival?
She said, "Oh, poor girl. You did not come from the Witchlight Carnival. I'm sorry you think you did. Your, your carnival was nowhere near the Feywild." She says, "But I am aware and do know." She said, "Is did you meet? Did you meet Isvold?" She looks at you. Out of game, you did not meet Isvold, by the way.
All right, I was gonna ask that.
Yeah, out of game, you didn't meet her. You never met her. You don't even know the name. But then she clarifies. She said, "The owner of the carnival. Did you meet her?" And now you know who she's talking about. There was a woman that you were told to stay away from at all costs. The only thing that you knew about this woman was that she had a gleaming red sword, and she was constantly angry and constantly looking for people who would come into the carnival stealing, people who would come into the carnival without a ticket, people that would come into the carnival doing mischief. And she was relentless. She would literally behead people from coming into the carnival by just sneaking in. So you always you never trusted this woman. You thought she was nuts anyway. You stayed away from her at all times. She does reference. She says you would know her uh, because she is wielding a giant, large, glowing red sword. Isvold.
No,
And she
I
said
never
her name has
met
changed.
personally, but I
She,
was specifically told to avoid her.
she said her name has also been changed, so it's possible that that name is not even. She said, "Oh, so many things." She said, "Fine." She said, "Well, that's good, but how did you escape? You escaped through the carnival. How though? What happened?" Out of game. If you want help on this, I'll help you. If not, you can talk about it.
I think it would be better if you did it because I'm not
Sure.
100% on the facts.
No worries. No, it's fine. So you explained to her that what ended up happening is that you went to the carnival with a friend of yours, because it was like an escape, like a bastion, basically, from where you were from. It was so much nicer than anything within the Shadowfell. However, it was also sinister, and you ended up going on into the Hall of Mirrors there, which was a specific ride uh, that you didn't pay for. And as you went in, because your ticket was not stamped, so as you went in and went through that, you got lost, and you came out into a cave. And sure enough, that cave led into the Underdark, which you didn't know where that was, and it was a shallow area within the Underdark, and you were able to find your way out into Faerun. This happened, of course, when you were much younger. You explain all this to her. Um, but um, uh, but you don't really know. It's just dumb luck, and you have no idea how you really did it. You were in this huge thing called the Hall of Illusions, which is this giant, dark, very scary ride-like thing where you walk through these areas of mirrors and things jump out at you and it reflects your greatest fears and like all kinds of other really traumatizing things. You got scared, you fell through an area, you don't really remember the details, and that's how you got out of it. Completely random. You were very, very lucky. So she says, "So that was not very helpful for me getting into the Shadowfell." She said, but really, thank you for telling me. She said, "At least I have something to go on." She said, "So if this is true, if there really is a way within the Feywild from the carnival, and I think that's probably your best bet, then let's try it." She said, "However," she said, "first and foremost," she said, "how did you get tickets? You have to go to the carnival and buy them." She said, "Can I see these tickets?"
We were granted one by a messenger. And I'm just going to walk up to her and just kind of like reassuringly hold her hand and just say, if there's anything I can say to put you more at ease, I'm sorry we had to meet like this. I'm in the dark as much as you are about this.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check. She's
Brother,
very
you
hard
want
to
a
persuade.
guidance? Brother?
She's very, very hard to persuade. I'll put you there, but let me give you a chance though.
Brother, did you say guidance? Was that a guidance
No,
I
I
heard,
didn't.
brother?
Yeah, he didn't say it. Go. You have to do this too. It's not like you can stop him, because if you stop him, she would know that you're calling for guidance and would trust you less. Oh, you did pretty well. Yeah.
18
So
plus 5?
yeah. No, you hit the very hard DC. Yep. So, and it was +7. Yeah.
Yes, plus 7.
So her eyes go to be harsh on you, and then they soften a bit, and she says, well, she says, I hope I'm not making a mistake. She says,
You most likely are, but just go with it.
she 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 does laugh at that, and she says, listen, she says, I can tell that there's good company here. She's like, do me a favor. If this gets out of hand, for the good of everything, it sounds like your group will take care of you if I don't. So she said, that's actually good. She said, let's hope let's hope there's no need for that though. She said, so we don't really know what we're looking for within the Feywild, but I assume the artifact's going to direct you. She said, actually, I kind of wish I could come with you. And she goes through and she looks at things and she says, she says, listen, she does give you, she says, here. And she gives you what looks like a small little sending zone. She said, I think this will actually work when you're within the Feywild. We're going to have to test it, but obviously, when you're in there, if you can't communicate with me, it's too late. But let's try this. And she gives it to you, Kino, and she says, when you're within the Feywild, contact me immediately. Let's see if this works.
I will. And thank you.
She says, okay, let's have you leave before Sandro gets here.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't want any bloodshed today.
Real quick before we leave, how are you associated with the Harpers?
She said, I am not an agent of the Harpers. She said, I was actually given information from the Harpers directly. She said, however, she said, I wouldn't mind. I mean, we are in a zone of truth, and I wouldn't mind telling you the name, but I also wouldn't want that to hurt your rank. She said, are you cleared for information on the elders? You vaguely have heard of these elders. You don't actually know either way.
I don't specifically know whether or not I'm cleared. I was more interested in your trinket that alerts you to the presence of Harpers.
She said, yes, it was a gift. It was a gift for me to be able to identify any agent of the Harpers whenever they were around in case I needed to commission them. Um, she said, I don't know exactly. She said, I'm trying to be vague on purpose because I don't exactly know what I can reveal. It depends on your rank. Now, you are still an associate of the Harpers. So that means that you are a full-fledged Harper with a pin, but you're at the lowest rank possible to get an actual assignment. You're a novice agent essentially.
Even after 30 years of service?
Correct. Correct.
I mean, what's 30
It's
years to
very
an elf?
it's very, 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 very hard to gain inner circle with the Harpers. And this is something that's been a little like this has been a contentious point for you as well, by the way. Um, again, you're not sure if it has anything to do with the fact that you are Shadow Kai or not. You were given direct access in immediately and very easily. Most people have to go through years of training and they have to prove their loyalty to become a Harper. You got in right away. You have not risen the ranks, though. You stayed. Now you did rise the ranks enough to become a novice agent, but that's it. So this would be a point of contention for you, by the way. You would have your own reservations about why this might be the case, but yeah.
If you tell her the thing you know, I can disclose some of the information I've learned about dragons.
And by the way, from a character perspective thing, that's why you were so eager to go on your last thing with Mistra. You were very much hoping that this was going to turn that tide and you were going to rise the ranks once you reported back as an FYI. But anyway.
Isn't Whirl also a Harper?
Whirl has associations with the Harpers. He is not an agent of the Harper, but he was sent on the mission with her. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, she outranks Whirl right now. But Whirl has been in far less than she has, so
Yeah, I've done. I'm barely like 33 years old. I'd have it to start as an infant.
He's done far less. He's not an agent or anything. He was given to her because he seemed to be incredibly like capable, but again, you would probably think that I mean, this is all private to Peter's character, but you would probably also think that maybe he was also there to like, you know, to report back if something were to happen anyway. You're just not sure. You have no idea. So the Harpers are mysterious like this, but understand that it's really hard to become a Harper from the very onset, and you got in right away. So there's something special about you. Anyway, so yeah, so she said, so we don't have much time. Anything else?
Hey, you're like an expert on dragons.
He said, I am. I've spent my entire life devoted to their knowledge.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Do you know about what was the kind of dragon we saw in my town like a couple days ago?
So that's exactly what I was gonna say. And like Kino has this very stone, like very kind of proper like mannerism most times, but like just kind of the very excited like I want to talk about this is just starting to peek through, especially with someone that's also like studied dragons. So we saw a steel dragon.
Her eyes go in disbelief, and she says, I cannot. She said, how? Wait. This is impossible. You would never know.
No, but I
You
do.
would never know.
Well, he like
She said-
transformed in front of us.
He
She
was
said-
hidden in plain sight, but I disrupted his game.
Obviously, she said, what have you done? She said, what? She said, how? How did you disrupt his game?
She's a chosen paladin. Tiamat, she can sense it.
Oh my God. She looks.
You
She
should
looks
show her
at
your
you.
scales.
Yeah, she does look at you, and she looks at you in disbelief, and she said, "What have I done?" Oh,
No, wait.
she said,
There's more though.
I
Also,
tried to warn you.
there's a crystal dragon living right outside of Daggerford. An ancient, like a huge one.
she said that is impossible. That is impossible. That
You
is
would think.
impossible.
You would think, but
She said, "Do you understand that crystal dragons do not come out? As a matter of fact, they're much more at home at the astral sea than they are in Faerun in general. But worse,
no,
why on
exactly.
earth?" She said, "Why would a crystal dragon be within a city? That makes no sense." She said, "I
I
can't
don't
believe
know.
it, but clearly you're telling the truth."
No, exactly. I don't know. These are. I've so like we've been on the road, but there's so much I want to study. There's so many questions I need to answer, and that's why I was so excited about maybe talking to you.
Oh, you should show her your book.
Well, yes. The book is actually inert right now, but hey, you asked if I'm definitely not part of the cult because I definitely disrupted a lot of the rituals that they were doing.
She said, "What book?"
I can I keep it though? I'll show you, but it's all kind of over and done with. So it's kind of just very quick because we got to get the
Well,
here.
she says,
Oh,
"Listen,
we're not in a rush.
she said we really." She said, unfortunately, you kind of have to be. She looks at you, brother. She says, if he does come back, he will smell Tiamat on her. He will literally. She said, you also. She said, you. She said, you think you're powerful. She said, "I think I'm powerful. Wait until you see him."
I mean, I'm sure Kino can talk her way out of getting killed, right, Kino? Don't you talk your way out of anything? Like, can't you
Oh my
just talk your way out of
She
any
s- she said
situation with
s- she
dragons?
said Sandro, I believe, would literally rip her jugular
Let's
without even.
nah.
I'm not
I
doubting
think
him.
Kino could do it. Let's
No,
see.
I
Watch.
100%
You
no.
watch. You
All
watch.
dragons
Watch
are
her
perfectly
work.
fine according to you. This should be perfect.
Yeah, you listen, lady. You should
Prove
see
him
this.
wrong.
You should see this elf work a dragon. She can make friends with any dragon.
Don't say it like that. Look, very quick, but I want to meet again once we're done and when we're not on a time constraint because I would love to show you that, like, God, I would love to.
Oh,
to
we
talk.
should show the. You said he's a golden dragon.
Golden dragon. Golden
We should
dragons.
show
So
him.
Kino knows this, by the way, which is why she's a
Yeah.
little nervous. Golden dragons are literally the most powerful form of besides obviously besides Bahamut himself, gold dragons, even outshine platinum dragons when it comes to like the more powerful side of dragons. If he's ancient, you stand no chance. Kino
we
certainly does, at least.
we should show him. And he like gestures at his shoulder and points at Henri.
Very quickly.
Because he's a
BD.
golden dragon, and you have the,
Her eyes
we should let
light up.
them meet.
She's like, how did you find a pseudo dragon? She's like, I have not found a pseudo dragon. Where did you find this?
She's gonna turn around after looking at the pseudo dragon, and I'm going to be holding the book of dragons.
All right, okay. She says, my God. She said, you know, that's been missing for like 100 years. She said
Yes, she released
that
them
was
all.
that was written by the Cult of the Dragon.
Nope. I did I know that in character?
And she said, "No, I don't think so. I don't think you knew that it was created by the Cult of the Dragon." She says, you released them? You released the dragons? She said,
I
do you know that the Cult of the Dragon stole this book and they were using it to siphon off energy? But you don't
no, I know
understand.
they were
Some of
using
those
them.
some of those dragons are incredibly dangerous. Tell me you did not release all of them.
Oh, she did.
Brother helped.
Yeah. With the
Brother
metallic
read.
ones.
Yeah, brother read some of them. I read the rest.
She looks at both of you and she says, "Well," she says, "honestly, if it were me, I would have bet on the metallic ones being fine, but you never ever know."
Didn't you
And she
just
looks.
say we shouldn't judge a dragon by its color?
No,
Well,
but
she said that's why I'm saying this. She said, "I actually would have bet on the metallic as well." She said, "But," and she looks to points to your brother. She says, "What happens to a being that's been trapped for 100 years? Worse, I have heard rumors that a dragon trapped in that book, a second goes by a year. I think that book would drive them mad."
I mean,
I
the
talked to
crystal
some of
dragon
them.
was pretty pissed off.
The
Oh, the
crystal
dragon
dragon
was quite angry.
was in the book. He was a little agitated, but I think, hopefully, we're on the road to recovery there.
Enough to enslave the entire town.
The town wasn't enslaved. The
He said,
town,
"How?"
I got word that they were actually moved.
She said, "How on earth would a crystal dragon be here?" And she gasped and she says,